Regina Brooks Larson is really heading up the quality control over there and is working on that. Yeah, that's the best I can tell you. Again, we haven't had our meeting yet, so.
Amy, can I ask a question? John, what information is the health center willing to share with the hospital governing board with regard to volume indicators, risk management indicators, financial indicators? Because I know we've entered a memorandum of understanding with them as the hospital to support them if they ever find themselves short of cash. So what information are they willing to share with us to kind of keep tabs on their stability?
Well, I certainly can't answer that on my own. My vote on the subject we should share completely. But I will take that to the meeting next week and get you an answer. I can't speak for the health center all by myself, and it's not something that we've addressed specifically, but I see no reason not to share. I think we should.
I feel like I'm speaking a little bit out of place because I'm the director of nursing. I was curious if this board has information that they would like to receive from the health center on a regular basis to monitor as a partner of theirs and as a financial partner of theirs.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, I'd certainly like to see the quality piece, whatever they're doing with the next meeting, and what the plans are, and what the parameters that are being measured and required. Yeah.
Okay, I will certainly take that to the board and
Just from
request that we do share, and
just
I
from
think
an
we should.
operating level, we signed a memorandum of understanding with them on a number of the administrative issues, and we agreed after several months of negotiation, on that discussion back and forth between the CPAs, John, Earl, and Cliff, on this memorandum of understanding with the dollar amount that they owe us, and that was required to make sure that we're operating separately, but there have been a lot of administrative issues, between us because of the ownership of the buildings and everything else, that we need to sit down with Cindy and probably amend that MOU. We've talked about, the leadership team has talked about that. So it's not a board level issue, but there are lots of day-to-day nits and grits that we need to continue to work on so that we don't get like this, because we don't want to be like this, because we do need each other, and we need to make sure that we iron those out, those issues that are causing some friction between the two organizations. Like any organizations, we just need to make sure we're communicating those things. But there have been quite a few of those issues just in the last month that we kind of forgot to cover really in the MOU. But we'll be working on clarifying that over the next couple of months.
Okay, let me just make sure I have a complete list, and then I'll take it to the board next week, and I certainly believe get it approved. Interested in volume and patient load, quality, risk management piece, general financials, I guess, or
Also, the medical director, is there going to be any change there, or in kind of the status of that right now at the health center?
okay.
Just the medical director or all the providers?
Primarily interested in medical, I am just in the medical director, just to know who's going to be the medical director at the hospital versus the health center.
Mhm.
So that we can address those people individually when required to.
Right.
Anything else we need to get on? Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. Bylaws Committee, Jim, do you have anything to report from that?
No.
No? Okay. Gary, clinical out.
I will say publicly that Laurie was gracious enough to set up a meeting with the county attorney to discuss some corporate and district directors. I missed it. And offer my humble
You
public
did,
apology.
we did, but we handled it, didn't we?
Yeah. So that, all we were trying to find out is that if there's a difference between a district and a corporate director.
Well, there are.
So we gotta
Yeah.
get that nailed down.
Yeah, I think
It's
we,
not in our constitution bylaw.
I know, it's very absent.
The other thing I'd like to do, is get that meeting, I'd like to have an amendment in the constitution bylaws that would allow us to do business electronically. I am in organizations that allow that. You can send
Well,
out a proposal and vote on it.
Only
Electronic.
only if there's some way to include public.
Yeah, I don't know that we can because of the need to have an open meeting.
Yeah. I think that would
Yeah.
be the,
Yeah, I don't think we can.
You mean just by telephone, is that what you're talking about?
Well, that and.
well, I don't have a problem like if someone
email.
called in to participate in the meeting, but I think that if there
Yeah.
were something like that, you'd have to have some way to allow community to participate.
Yeah, yeah, in fact, even if you're doing a call-in, the way it works, as I understand it, you can have somebody call in, but they have to be present on the phone for the entire meeting if you're gonna do it. You can't just have them call in for one subject matter or something. So they're gonna have to be sitting on the phone line from 12 to
Which is usually the case.
3 plus.
I'm thinking, there
That hasn't
could be
happened for a
times
while.
When like we had an executive session where the public was excluded, let's say talking about the CEO's salary. That item could be conducted over the internet with the board members as opposed to meetings. Those are the kind, but they have to be written into the bylaws.
Well, I might offer another solution. I hate to say this, but I think next month by the time we meet, or maybe March, but we're gonna have a smart board that's about as big as this, a whiteboard that operates by touch or interactive audio video. It's gonna be sitting right here, and you could include the public if you had the meeting in that setting, with the big smart board. I mean, people could be heard, and all people could, you'd have to have people on the other end, but there are a number of places around the state. All of the innovation sites have these smart boards now. We're one of the last ones to get them, and it was part of the innovations grant. But we're going to get that, and you could do that. You could easily do that, with a smart board.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll keep that, but I must ask you, I'm only a member of the committee, not the chair.
I know,
So I can only do so much.
I understand.
Okay.
Gary, clinical outcomes?
This,
QI?
this month, we have not had a meeting scheduled. We're in kind of the throes of discussion, how to keep this committee viable, particularly in the absence of a provider, that would be kind of overseeing and participating in it. And so I've been invited to my first quality improvement meeting in the hospital Tuesday. And I think we'll be discussing that. And so I'll get a chance to also talk about some other quality issues other than the clinical issues, or just observe it, first meeting just to see, who's attending and what's being discussed, and if the board has any input, or if the board would like for me to bring back input, from what I learned. So, yeah, we're still, I think, with our financial situation, I understand, that is probably being ratcheted down as tightly as possible, but there are some requirements that we have to make, and we have to commit some kind of resources to it somehow. We have it in our mission statement as one of the big issues every time we hold a meeting. And so, and we have members of the public here that are very concerned about our quality, I'm sure. And I'd like to be able to bring to the public some of the good things that are happening. And there are a lot of good things, and we have testimonials from the community, and we're measuring inside the hospital, how good we're doing when patients are hospitalized. And so I think the positive things that we do and how we rate against other critical access hospitals is worthwhile, for our public to know about. So I think the more we can communicate, and do it in a favorable light, I think that will be very useful, because, our data is showing that we're losing patients, I've got a graph here, Medicare patients that we're losing to the outside. And it's going down substantially over the last few years. So we need to think about, why that's happening. I'm sure we're thinking about that. And then I think people would be very interested in what we are doing and how we do compare with other hospitals. And when I'm looking at the data, we actually do pretty well in comparison to other hospitals. But we don't communicate that very well. And there's a lot of, things that have happened over the last year or so that have generated the opposite kind of perspective. And perception is great, perception is as real as the real thing. If people believe that our quality is down, and I'd just like to be able to communicate that better.
Well, you discuss those things at this meetings, right? Can you bring that back to us?
Yeah, what I learn, from the meetings, I'll bring back to this committee. Yeah.
I mean, what's appropriate? I mean, absolutely.
Mhm.
Because we've talked about clinical measures and
Yeah,
some of those things that are important for us.
we've kind of corresponded back and forth and on email, and we're totally committed to good quality in the system. Kirsten and I have talked about that, and I don't know, Kirsten, if you have any input based upon what I just said,
Well, it will be nice to get a new medical director who now has time that he or she can devote to these projects that Gary and I have been working on.
Well, we own them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already seen a positive impact
Good.
from that, so.
Well, is it possible to develop a report in a press release form that gives positive comparisons of our quality measures and get it out to the papers?
I think it is possible. I think we'd have to, see legally, what we can say. But I think that anything that is legal and is positive, and even if there's something that the public is concerned about that is negative, if we can assure them that these are the things we're working on, we're working towards making this better. I think those kind of communications to the public would be great, and as long as we're not saying something, we're not divulging any kind of privacy things,
Right.
Yeah, no HIPAA violations. We don't
Yeah,
need
you
those.
can't put names in it or anything else, but just a comparison percentage
Well,
of.
aggregate data, I mean, it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
quality
I
reports.
think we should do more of that.
You gotta be careful you have enough
Should.
numbers, though.
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly
Right.
it, and that's the problem right now. We're participating in some clinical studies and comparisons that you can go to the hospital, CMS's Hospital Compare website and see how hospitals are doing on these particular measures. Any of you can do it right now. And you will see that small hospitals like ours do not see enough cases, so our data is not reported. Even Clark Fork Valley, on some of the studies, they don't see enough cases, so the numbers aren't reported.
I'd be surprised if you had any of the national studies that you report any data from in a
We
facility
still-
of this size.
We contribute our data.
Sure.
But they don't allow us to report due to the
Okay.
small numbers.
Gotcha.
But what you're asking for, we have our data, they give us the reports, we could put a newspaper article in and show how we compare to the national average.
Well, or even the PIN, the PIN break. Do you have that data with the PIN, the Performance Improvement Network, Carol Bishop's network? I mean, she's got it by.
We don't, we just
Oh, you
quit
don't
with that
participate.
because we haven't had a provider dedicated to the quality improvement program.
Okay.
That's really been our,
Yeah,
Good.
something that we've needed.
Kinda have to do it for them sometimes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gary, Kirsten. Carol's not here.
Galapagos.
I know.
It's unfortunate that she isn't here, because the customer satisfaction committee is moving ahead.
So has there been a meeting since the last?
There has been. John Updike.
Could you- I was gonna say,
led
could
that
you-
committee. With John leaving, Tanai Sirkund has taken over the customer satisfaction
Who has?
committee.
Tanai?
You know tonight.
Yeah.
Sirkund, our better health improvement specialist.
Mhm.
We had another meeting this week. He's planning on meeting every 2 weeks and rolling ahead with identifying what our weakest areas are. And there's been a lot of talk about interventions that we could launch, and action plans to improve
He's a
things.
quality
I'll tell
guy.
you,
I know.
Can you give us a nugget?
I can give you
Good
a
guy,
nugget.
young guy.
We feel in our gut that our customers are not happy with our telephone system. That when they call in, it's ringing too many times and they're being transferred to the wrong people and that type of thing. So that was one of our first things that we're gonna work on. I think Deb Green is in charge of that project.
And being able to understand the person on the other side. I have that issue sometimes when I call. I don't know if it's just the reception of the phones or someone's talking too fast. But
How old are they?
I don't know.
The phone system.
Depends.
Oh, the phone system's
Ancient.
30 years
ancient.
old.
Yeah, it's
Or more.
old.
You wanna share the discussion we had about that earlier, John?
And
Yeah, well, I just mentioned that one of the issues that we talked about it briefly in prices for upgrades. And I guess they'd looked at the cost of a new phone system, and it was pretty high, and we just don't have the money. However, I had shared, and I don't know whether it's available for a facility this
We'll look
size, but
into
it
it.
should be explored, is that the town of Superior right now is completely upgrading its phone system and doing it through Blackfoot, where Blackfoot is gonna be the owner of the phones, and there's simply a monthly payment. There's no cash up front. And the end result is for a very tiny increase in cost, there's a huge upgrade happening. Both we're getting all new phones, we're getting additional lines, we're getting additional opportunity to go back and forth, we're getting faster internet, we're getting all sorts of things. And the only thing it's actually costing us is a very slight increase in our monthly outflow for phone bills. So that
Can
may
we
be an
amortize
option
it over
here.
100 years?
I don't know. Well, I guess you're not amortizing it because they own the phones. You're paying a monthly fee. But the other thing that does for you
the new
is
one.
at some point, they're gonna wanna upgrade your equipment. You're not gonna have to 10 years from now or 20 years from now saying, okay, we have to go buy them again. Because if they're supplying the phones, they're probably gonna upgrade it on their own at some point. I mean, obviously, they're not doing it for any other reason to make money, in a sense, although they are a co-op. But it may be another avenue, so then that's gonna be explored.
Yeah, we'll sure check.
I was gonna say, but we're all part of that co-op, so.
Right, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
That
co-op.
co-op is a monopoly, by the way.
Well, yeah, most of them are. Yeah.
That phone system's only about 20 or 25 years.
It's got another 20 years then.
In tech, yeah.
Oh, that thing is-
Ancient.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating when it took me 4 weeks to finally get a voicemail on that people could call into and leave a voicemail. It took 4 weeks for me to get that set up.
Thank you for that update. We'll make sure she'll be back soon. Thanks, Kirsten. Okay, Professional Affairs Committee, I don't have anything because we don't have any privileging requests. So, anyone have anything for the good of the order?
I have a couple things.
Go ahead, Tanya.
So one is the email that I forwarded to you and John from, her name is Jennifer Strawn, I think is how you pronounce it. She's the organizer behind the rail trail.
The Trail Railroad?
And yes, they had their inaugural one last year in St. Regis. It's like June 22nd was last year's race. Anyway, the hospital sponsored a portion of that or something. I don't have any of the details. She only contacted me because I'm a runner and she knew that I was on the board, so, but she just is, you know, seeking to see what our interest is at all, and if it's, I didn't share anything with her at this time, knowing our financial situation and everything else, but she just wanted to see if it was worth her coming and talking to the board at all, or if it was a moot point, or, you know, just kind of wanted me to get back to her on something like that.
Well, even if we can't necessarily do a whole lot financially, there's a lot of good people, I think, that we could help.
I
Yeah.
think we could help register and
Yeah.
Sure.
hold water
They came to
bottles.
this chamber part,
Yeah.
sponsor part of it too, and they were looking more for volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yeah, I
And
mean-
the booths and
Well,
We can sure look at that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should look at it and explore it. I mean,
Sure.
let's face it, it is focused in a sense towards health of the community,
Well, and it
anything
was
that's
a great,
physical
it's a great,
fitness.
and I'm a runner, well, I'm a recent runner, but I'm a runner
It's
too.
It's a neat event, it really
Yeah.
is neat.
and
It
you're
ends-
encouraged to hand out things for their package that they give
Yes.
to each runner. So if you've got a pamphlet on the hospital or a pamphlet on the clinic,
Definitely.
or, you know, something on a keychain
Yeah.
with the hospital and name and number and stuff.
Yeah.
They're encouraged.
I know we had talked about water bottles or, you know, some of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's
Could-
really neat. It
Could
ends
you
at
have
the
her come to
park.
maybe our
Yeah.
next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think we
It's a
should,
good speak.
to the extent we can, support it. I'm a longtime runner whose knees won't
Yeah.
let me do it anymore, but that's
I mean,
another
I
issue.
volunteer, but I
Um,
think I'm gonna participate, but,
Yeah, that was my thing last year. I told her, I'll help you right up until the race starts, and I literally
Yeah.
did. I parked people until
Yeah.
it started.
But the other thing I think that should be passed back to her, and I think I mentioned this in an email, is we may want to explore the health center clinics being involved as well.
Yeah.
And there may be other ways they can be involved, since their primary mission is to make the county healthier. Sponsoring an athletic event may be something that they can focus on, maybe even with some grant money.
have you
So-
talked to her at all, Larry?
I didn't even know anything
I was
about it.
wondering, is
okay.
this
I'm not
something
aware of it.
that the governing board would typically deal with, or is this something that the
Yeah,
hospital's
we usually-
marketing team would deal with?
I think that's more, more, yeah.
Yeah, we could take the lead on it. You know,
Well,
internally.
and I think her concern with that is she was told, and maybe wrongly so, that things weren't handled correctly, but, I.
That what?
I don't, I don't know, that's just what
That
I was
what?
told.
I didn't,
Things weren't handled correctly?
No, I was gonna say, I think.
As of last year?
oh, from our point? of
No,
view?
I don't think
They're-
I think it was rumor mill kind of
Oh,
thing, and she just
yeah.
wanted to make sure she went about it the right way.
Oh.
I think you're right about that, Kirsten. I don't think it's necessarily a board thing. I would still like to hear about it.
We can report, you know,
Yeah.
if you'll forward us the information,
Okay.
we'll crank up our staff. Do what we can.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the money we have.
Right.
Oh, and the only other thing I have isn't related to hospital board, but since two people are here that know a little bit about it, I'm using the time, sorry, just for a couple of seconds, but the Mineral County Resource Advisory Committee, so SRS, RAC, as some people know it, is gonna be seeking applicants. We're gonna be really short on members this year, and Jim and John both know a little bit about it, and Lori as well. So this is where the county gets funds to do certain projects on Forest Service land, as we have a lot of that around here. So we get a little bit of funding, it's not a ton, but this committee, I'm not on it, but I kind of facilitate, help and set the meetings up and that kind of thing. They vote on the projects. They range from all kinds of different things, trail projects, road projects, whatever, on the Forest Service land around in the county. So anyway, we are, unfortunately, a lot of our key members that have been here a long time their term expires this year, and they're not able to renew it again. For at least for a year, they have to be off of the RAC committee. So anyway, if you know of anybody that would be interested, we're looking for people from all different backgrounds, including hospital. We typically have somebody from the medical community of, I think we had one or two this last go around, and then from the schools, from
How many
communities,
people, how many
businesses.
people are on the committee?
15.
15.
with 3 alternates.
And how frequently do they meet?
They do not meet on a given like schedule or anything. It's kind of whatever the committee deems they need, but it's usually like once to twice a year and that's it. So it's a very kind of,
So
Yeah.
they plan, so what do they plan exactly?
Well, essentially what happens, you get a whole series of applications for projects, primarily on Forest Service land. The committee meets and reviews the applications and then votes on which ones are gonna get funded.
There's a dollar amount you have to work.
You have X number of dollars to
So you
work
got
with, the
12
projects.
And they vary from weed control to clearing trail.
So does the committee manage funds or land? Or
The committee just
Just
approves
the-
projects.
approves the
projects.
projects?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
The
it.
Forest
Yeah, I know.
Service manages the funds.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you'll have maybe 2 or 3 meetings in relatively quick succession to give out the money and then basically be done for the year.
Yeah.
And I
And
think
then-
right now we have 3 meetings scheduled.
We do, and the term goes for 4 years with the option of extending 2 more years. And so we're lucky to have John that'll be eligible for another couple of years and 2 or 3 more other people. And that's it, pretty much everybody else as of October of 2014 will.
They're all term limited, you
They're-
said,
exactly, so
commissioners.
they're at the end of their 6-year term. So Steve Cardy was one of our RAC members. Who else do we? We've had a series of things where people have either moved away or, just decided to retire off of the board and that kind of thing. So we also have vacancies right now, even before the October date. So anyway, just wanted to
So
throw
we
that.
get those to you, those applications?
Yeah, the applications, you can call me and I can email them to you, or you can come into the office and fill one out. It's just a 2-page,
Yeah,
pretty
I saw
simple
one, I
format.
just-
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it filled
thanks.
out, I just haven't, I should do it to you.
That's okay.
So, yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Thanks, Tanya. February board meeting date, when's the 4th Friday?
I have a conflict, I put it in the update report, but, that health summit that we were talking about.
Right.
And the leadership thing for the innovations grant that Gary's gonna be attending, that's that week, that whole week is pretty well shot for me. Cindy and I have been asked to present at the innovations thing, so I've gotta be there Tuesday and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the, MHA Health Summit. Kirsten and I will be at that as well, that part of it. So all those expenses, travel expenses are paid for, by either the innovations grant or, for us, by the innovations grant or.
What are the other, what's the Friday after, Friday before?
The
I'd
Friday
like to keep
after
it
is
this-
March, but.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think.
21st is the Friday before that.
Cliff would really appreciate it actually
I was
being the
thinking if it
Friday
would be the
after.
Friday after, so. we
Even if
did
it's
it-
in March, because.
Well, that's what I'm
Because of
thinking.
the financials, it gives him time to get those financials together.
Yeah.
Budget in there.
Well, and it doesn't help that February is a short month anyway.
Well,
but-
yeah.
It's
Well, I
also
was
Girl
looking
Life
forward to
Week.
a 5-week one.
And I know that, Cliff and I kind of had some discussion about this earlier, that Friday's a kind of a tough day for me. And, you said it kind of for Dr. Smith, but Cliff and I didn't talk about this part, but he never shows up anyway. This is the 4th month that I've been to a board meeting. He's been to 1 of 4. So,
Yeah.
I don't think you should stay with Friday necessarily going forward. I would
Does the,
just suggest that.
does the,
Friday's are bad for us as the commissioners.
Well, right, you have conflicts anyway with the commissioners.
does the
Friday.
Thursday the
Friday.
27th, when do you leave for that
How about Thursday?
conference? Does Thursday the 27th work?
No, that whole week is out.
Oh, you're out for the whole
Right,
week, okay.
the Tuesday through Friday.
How about the Thursday of March?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thursday, March 6th?
Well, and
Anything
the
following.
only reason we moved it from Thursday was because we wanted to completely split from days from the health center.
Oh,
Could we do Wednesday the 5th? There's some meetings.
It's our Go
scheduled
Live
in the
week.
conference
That's
room.
next gen. I'll just throw that out there.
oh, that's whole week.
That whole week's our Go Live.
Oh, yeah. Are you gonna need this room?
I imagine we'll need everybody's participation.
Right,
in
right.
Next gen.
Right, yeah, we
Like the
will,
26th.
we will really be.
Yeah, that's what I'm
focused.
thinking. How about the 20, oh, but you're going that
They're
whole
gone
last
that
week of
whole week.
February too.
Well, then
So
I think
there's-
maybe
both
we
of
need to
those weeks
go
are
the
kinda out.
Monday,
week
well,
before.
Monday.
Well, we could do the.
We'll just do the week
February
before.
20th, you know,
21st
just
would be
nice
that Friday.
and
You may not have financials.
Financials might not get handed out till the meeting. but-
Well,
21st.
Monday the 3rd,
Well, and we'll have the
It-
audit report.
you're already
And that
gonna be on
meeting
Go
too.
Live on Monday the 3rd?
No.
I'm not
That's our
sure.
first.
I think we might.
Sorry.
The,
He said.
oh, the
no.
auditor said March board meeting for the
Yeah.
audit
Oh,
report.
was it March?
Right.
Okay, never mind.
Because of the separation of the two organizations, it was
That
taking a
whole
little
week is gonna be
longer.
taken.
That whole week's gonna be.
Well,
out.
let's go that week of the 20th.
February,
Yeah.
So Friday's the 21st, but
go to the 20th of February.
Well, 21st would give you the week, right?
One day's not gonna
I won't be here the 20th, but I mean, if
Well,
you have a quorum.
How about the 21st?
21st is good.
Is there?
Friday.
Friday.
But we
Oh,
got
that-
the Friday.
No, you can't make it.
20th.
On Monday.
20th?
Thursday.
That following Monday.
20th is
I'm okay.
med staff.
That, that might be changed as well, Mitzi. I
Right.
wouldn't-
We're looking at
med
changing
staff,
that too.
we're gonna have to change it because we have no medical providers that can show up on one day.
Right, right. Because they're in the clinic, very scheduled tightly in the clinic, so we're having trouble with noontime meetings.
So you could
with the
take-
medical student.
You could take that Thursday. That would help if you wanted your medical director here as well.
The 20th?
20th.
You guys
I
can
move for
come.
the 20th.
I
Okay.
won't be here, but I think you guys will still have a quorum, so. I've got leadership team every third Thursday.
Well, you have a leadership team,
Thanks.
your Forest Service folks.
Yeah.
Noon?
Kinda like we do. That's great. Yeah, I'm used to that.
Okay,
We'll bring them over.
so noon on the 20th
Another meeting,
for
Cliff.
this month.
What
I don't know,
time?
Lloyd, we're gonna have.
At noon?
Try financial for 11 then, or?
And then
Well-
financial will be 11 or?
Well, why don't we leave that for Cliff to decide before the meeting, if we're gonna have a financial.
Well, let's plan on it, but subject to.
Tentative.
Yeah, I mean, if you find out by Tuesday or Wednesday, you're not gonna make it,
Let us know.
let us know so we don't come in here to,
Right,
Talk
we
about
thought.
nothing.
Or we'll do that.
we can bring cards or something.
Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay.
I do have a number of things for executive session.
Okay,
unfortunately.
with that, then, we have some legal matters
Yeah,
that we need to discuss in executive session.
several. It shouldn't take too long.
So,
Just need to bring you up to speed on a couple of them.
okay.
Larry, can you do mine first?
You bet.
And I have to leave at 4.
Stacy has to roll it.
I want to leave right now.
Yeah, me too, but, quick question for you. You're doing yoga class? Where's your timer?
I'm doing,
I couldn't find it. The
high-intensity
kids
interval
did something with it.
training.
Because they use it to time, you know, you're like, you only have,
wanna be more
you know, 30
I
minutes
wish- I
on,
wish I
then
could
they'll
do-
switch
I heard
turns, like on the
Teresa
computer or
Lowry
something,
was
and
doing it.
I don't know what they do with it.
Yeah, you might ask her, because she was doing it.
There is an article in
Twice a
here.
week, once a week or twice a week.
Yeah,
she
I've
was
been
doing
here
it.
first.
Have to see.
I'm supposed to be coming to
Yeah,
decide on the meeting.
I've taken
as
yoga,
to
but I'm not good enough to.
which ones came in, because right now.
I need to do something about it.
Application.
Yeah.
Invite you to the next board. We have interim boards.
Did Patty tell you where I was off to the weekend?
There
No,
was
she
an
said
article
you
about
were
that by
doing
Sulphur
I was
Springs.
actually-
Lawsuit in modern healthcare.
Well,
But I don't think I
actually,
have that.
actually, I talked to a reporter. I may have ended up in one of them.
Trying to sit for.
What, you are?
Some
or they-
reporter called me from, I think it was Monterey Health.
Meditation cushion told me very clearly.
I think it was one that I don't have. It was January 7th.
Of course,
I
I was
looked it up.
before I found.
I'll probably be back though. I'll come see you. Or a nurse. Yeah, I do. I'm still in before tonight,
Oh, yeah. He has good eyesight.
Yeah, he does actually. He was chasing me the other day.
Can't let him ask you any questions.
No system is problem-free.
No, I really, I'll go talk to him, but I don't think it's gonna happen today.
Yeah, there is.
Tell me, be happy to talk to him, but he's not answering any
Yeah,
questions.
everybody's looking for coffee, even her.
Yeah.
I was just, is it Mormon
Yeah.
Day? I do have a question for you.
I'd be happy to talk to you, but I'm not answering any questions.
Oh, you're too funny.
Well, how are things, Don? Are you rolling along?
I can go see some before 4 o'clock.
After 4:30.
We got some extra computers if you want. There's a couple.
Remember that, right?
I do, Carol was pretty.
No, talk to Mitzi. Yeah, talk to Mitzi. She'll, well, unless Mike knows of one that's in storage, but I think Mitzi knows where the.
I feel like
Well, talk to Mitzi. She, you know, she kind of has been coordinating that with the IT guys, or she can point you